What's up, everybody? This is the Outre approach. We're going to review Gallery of Suicide by Cannibal Corpse. You'll notice that this video is way more detailed than the past I've done and isn't just a slideshow. I'm actually going to get to dissect the complete review, and I urge you to stick in for that. It's going to be right after I do my short review, and then I'm going to explain everything, go into the music, and explain everything I'm actually talking about. It was solid 2 years after vocalist Chris Barnes left and was replaced by George "Corpse Grinder" Fisher when Gallery of Suicide was released by Cannibal Corpse in 1998. By now, Corpse Grinder had recorded an album and got to tour with the band, and he served as catalyst that set things in motion from old to new. As the years drew closer towards a new millennium, so did their music in the new era of death metal. Corpse Grinder contributed to the lyrical flow, with Alex Webster helping him do that. And Alex Webster, he still wrote the majority of the lyrics, but now Corpse Grinder was able to contribute to the flow of the lyrics. The imagery of the lyrics it spelled are classics such as torture, murder, but it now includes songs with different material, like in Sentenced to Burn. The lyrics display the horrors of war and compares the innocent to herds of sheep, or like the song Unite the Dead, with imagery of zombies climbing out of their burial places to be led by our ruler in the quest to repopulate the world with the undead. So it's really cool to see the lyrics explore some new territory. The playing style of new guitarist Pat O'Brien radiates through the music. The song Headless is a great example of this, with the many pinch harmonics and unconventional melodic harmony that balances itself between left and right speaker with a dissonance that still manages to sound brilliant among the average metal listener. Not much to say about drums or bass, but they both sound great, and the overall production is fresh, taking into account of when it was recorded. This is thanks to Jim Morris, who was the new producer for the album, and he replaced producer Scott Burns. Scott Burns did a great job with the early albums, but with this new era and the new direction of the band in mind, it was ultimately time to hire a new music producer. Overall, this album introduces some new sounds, and most noticeably on the title track with the slow, creepy riffs and head-splitting guitar solos. In my opinion, this is a criminally underrated album and should be definitely held in higher esteem when looking at Cannibal Corpse discography. I give the album an 8 out of 10 within the metal genre. Now I'm going to go ahead and dissect the album. So, let's go ahead and look at some music here, and I actually written down all the timestamps where I need to go to explain some stuff. So, first let's look at the lyrical flow. So, the lyrical flow at 37 seconds in the first track, I Will Kill You, it was written by Webster, this lyrical flow, and I'll show you how I found that out in just a second. But let's listen to the music. So, I Will Kill You. What'd I say, 37 seconds? Okay, let's check it out. 37. Let's skip. Alright, we'll let it play through. 37. 34 now. So you guys can see how that's really catchy, and that was all written by Alex Webster. So now we're going to jump to some more lyrical flow. This is on Crushing the Despise, track number 14. This is lyrical flow, and it was written by Alex Webster and George Fisher. So this is seeing a combination of them both writing the lyrical flow. Where are we at? Crushing at 22 seconds. Crushing the Despise. So that's still super awesome. And you get to see them combined. So now we'll look at the lyrical flow, and this lyrical flow, and I'll show you where I'm getting all this information. So I get a lot of my information about who, has to do with certain parts of songs from Dark Lyrics. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've always trusted the website Dark Lyrics for all my metal lyrics that I need to look up. So like on each song, it'll have the music lyrics, Webster, vocal patterns by Fisher and Webster. And I think this is a pretty reliable source until this is unproved. So, and it's always, went well with other bands. So now I'm looking at, so the lyrical flow for Dismembered and Molested is just by Fisher. So we'll compare the first two to this one, which is just written by Fisher. Said 107. Okay, so it's at 103 now, and it's about to start right here. So it's still really, really good. On this album, just from what I've listened to, I like Webster's lyrical flow a little bit better, but Fisher, there's no complaints there. It sounds really good. So pertaining to the guitar, now let me explain this. So Pat O'Brien came into the band with this album, and Rob Barrett, and I believe he'll come into the band later on in some future albums. He'll come back, but he replaced Rob Barrett. So Pat O'Brien, if you read about Pat O'Brien, he's from Kentucky, but he started playing guitar when he was 11. The cool thing about Pat O'Brien, he studied classical guitar. He took musical lessons in Kentucky. He encouraged. No, wait. He gave lessons. Okay, so he gave lessons. He encouraged the students to listen to jazz, classical, fusion, country. So he played a lot of classical guitar, man. He's played with quite a few bands. So it just shows his past and how much experience he has. And if you compare that to Rob Barrett, I looked him up, and he just, he played with a couple bands before Cannibal Corpse, but there's no super, there's not a lot of information about, how he learned to play guitar or anything like that. So Pat O'Brien is a really damn good guitarist, and I'm about to show you what he contributed to this album. Back to my timestamps. So let's start out with the guitar. Okay, so Crushing the Despise, 130 for new guitar style. And I'm not saying this is all of what Pat O'Brien written, but if you look back at the album The Bleeding, say for example, they got a new guitarist in The Bleeding. I kind of forgot what his name was, but you see there's different sound there. There's guitar trills, everything sounds differently. So every time you have a new musician come to a band, the album is gonna sound a little bit different. You can hear that influence, and I'm gonna show you that right here. So what was the song? Crushing the Despise at 1 minute and 30 seconds. Boom. And I think you guys are gonna be surprised how So that was pretty much it. It was the fast riff there, and it's just a really weird. It almost sounds like a slinky or stringy. It sounds like you're pulling on a string, like he's bending the strings